Well, hey there, everybody. Rhonda Boyle here with another Soar Spotlight. Let me introduce you to Pro and Evangelist member on the Soar.com platform, Consuela Munoz. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing, Rhonda?
I am great. Now, you are from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and you work with leaders, working with leaders and teams, helping them become engaged employees by finding the right seat on the bus for each team member. That sounds like a fabulous idea.
It definitely works better if everybody's on the right seat.
Exactly. Now, can you share a story with us? Share something with us of a team that you've worked with before and the impact that coaching had on them.
Yeah, so there's this team that I worked with, and they were newly formed. All the team members were production associates. That means they worked on the plant floor. And they were selected, interviewed, brought into this team, a newly developed team for training and development, specifically for production associates. So that was the purpose of the team. And they were a newly formed team, and they were starting to see some issues, starting to see some friction between team members and some bumps and snags in some of the projects they were working on. The manager was talking to her mentor about it, and she said, I think there's this Strengths Finder program. It might be good for your team. And so manager called me up, and so we said, yeah, let's do this for your team. So we're going through the team, fast forward a little bit, and everyone's learning out about what their strengths are, what everybody else's strengths are on the team. And we're 3 weeks in, and I'm asking them for, what have you found out in the last, week? What highlights do you guys have to share with me? And the 3 members were on a project team. 2 of the ladies, they led from executing, and 1 gentleman led from strategic thinking. And they had been working on a project, and it was already having some bumps and was kind of behind schedule. And they sat amongst themselves, and they said, based on what we're learning, I think we need to switch roles. So they really felt like, you'd be better at this and I'd be better than this. But even more than that, they took that discussion, that conversation to their manager. The manager was also taking the program, and she said, yeah, let's try it. We're obviously having some trouble here. Let's try something new and see how that goes. She was a really firm believer in try it fast and fail. Let's just try this and see what happens. So they did do the switch and switched the roles. And I have to tell you that by the end of our work together, they had completed the project ahead of schedule. Now they had started behind schedule, and they finished in a full week ahead of schedule, which, doesn't sound like a lot, but if you've ever worked with any teams in manufacturing or working with folks on the plant floor, to be able to finish the project ahead of schedule was a major success.
Absolutely.
To the strengths. So it was really great.
Well, the amazing thing about that is that you gave them, through your coaching, the language that they needed. And in just a very short time period, they were leading those conversations.
Yeah, and I think that was a huge part of the impact that's not as easily seen. So it's easy to see, like, yes, the project finished ahead of schedule. It was very successful. People were doing what they do well. But then we would miss the part where having the same language for everybody involved cut down on the friction and cut down on the bad feelings, because without the strengths terminology, there might have been like, well, you don't want to do this because, you just don't want to do it. You don't like it. And instead it was like, wait, based on your strength, you should do this and we should do this. And then there wasn't those hurt feelings. There wasn't any of that. And everybody was much more engaged with the project because they were getting to do what they were best at and felt really valued to do what they do best. And again, this was a new team. To have such an amazing result right off the bat really set them up for a great run as a team.
That's amazing. Yes, absolutely. You helped them become empowered to make the changes they needed for their team. And one of the things you mentioned was that you had a manager who was very open to doing that. And so is that one of the keys to your success on that team?
I think most definitely, because a leader that's closed-minded probably doesn't want strengths to come in the first place. So the fact that he sees that there's some friction, she knows they're newly formed and wants it to really be successful. What can I do? And is open to that, and open to, that whole looking at what's working kind of plan. And she was definitely very open to it. And I know that she had talked it up to others as well, other of her peers as well, that this is something you should maybe look at if your teams are struggling.
Amazing. So what other experiences, can you share another story of a team that you've worked with and how they were impacted by coaching?
Okay, sure. So there was this team, we were in a team building session. They were having an all-day offsite, and they brought me in the morning. They were going to decide who's going to do what projects for the year, which is a great time to have a team building event where you're looking at what is everybody's natural strengths. And we were going through the process of going through a team map where we see where everybody is really quickly at a glance. And we're talking about how everyone's strengths have needs that need to be met. And this was a totally rowdy group. I have to let you know, we're very rowdy and very, a little bit to control. But we're doing this, and one of the ladies had one of those aha moments, and she said to one of the gentlemen on the team, she goes, "Is this why you need me to do that report?" And he's like, "Yes, this is why I need this report." And so then we were able to have a discussion around, he led from executing, and he wanted everybody to do this weekly status report. She led from relationship building and didn't understand the need for this report, and it just drained her. She didn't want to do this. She never wanted to approach this report. She never wanted to do it. He always had to ask her for it. So now she's looking at this report in a different way. She's looking at this report as not just something that has to be done this week, but as a way to make sure her relationship with the other member of the team is really strong. And so now she's seeing that report in a different light, and it's much easier for her to go about completing it because now it has a new meaning for her.
Wow, that's amazing. And it certainly helps build that community and make the flow of work easier. And that's what everybody's looking for, right? Is to be able to make it easier and to do what you do best and then be valued for your contribution. So what great examples. Thank you so much for sharing those with us.